Plessy v. Ferguson was a landmark decision of the U.S. Supreme Court issued in 1896. It upheld racial segregation laws in facilities as long as the segregated facilities were equal in quality, a doctrine that later became known as separate but equal. The two main faces of the Supreme Court were Homer Plessy and John Ferguson. On June 7, 1892, Plessy bought a first-class ticket at the Press Street Depot and boarded a White's car only on the East Louisiana Railroad in New Orleans, Louisiana, bound for Covington, Louisiana. The railroad company, which had opposed the law on the grounds that it would require the purchase of more rail cars, had been previously informed of Plessy's racial lineage and the intent to challenge the law. Additionally, the committee hired a private detective with arrest powers to detain Plessy to ensure that he would be charged for violating the Separate Car Act, as opposed to a vagrancy of some other offense. After Plessy took a seat in the whites-only railroad car, he was asked to evacuate it and sit instead in the blacks-only car. Plessy refused and was immediately arrested by a detective. After being detained by a private detective as planned, he was taken off the train and was immediately arrested. This later on became a big issue because this act violated Homer Plessy's 14th Amendment, which forbids the state to restrict basic rights from citizens or other people. Plessy's lawyers then argued that the law required East Louisiana Railroad to segregate trains had denied him the rights under the 13th and 14th Amendment and the United States Constitution, which provided for equal treatment under the law. Ferguson responded by ruling that Louisiana had the right to regulate railroad companies while they operated within state boundaries. The court concluded that although the 14th Amendment was meant to guarantee legal equality of all races in America, it was not intended to prevent social or other types of discrimination. The court rejected the notion that the law marked black Americans with a badge of inferiority and stated that racial prejudice could not be overcome by legislation. The impact of this court case was that Plessy legitimized the state laws establishing racial segregation in the South and providing an impetus for further segregation laws. It also legitimized laws in the North requiring racial segregation, as in Boston school segregation case noted by Justice Brown in his majority opinion.